Hi everyone, it's Giselle here, and I just wanted to talk more about the process of getting ourselves back to how we were before we met our beloveds, how we were in a place of expecting everything and nothing all at once, and how we were able to attract this into our lives, and how we can do so again without needing to build up that additional resistance that has built up over time. How to shed our outer layer so that the true essence of ourselves can come out, and so that we can start again on this journey, but this time, rather than coming together, have a magical time and then having to part ways again, to be able to see it through and for no one to feel the need to disconnect or run away. That's also a point. I don't like to use labels. I never felt comfortable with the words runner and chaser because it never resonated with me. I feel my situation, the split was inevitable because of the circumstances that surrounded us at the time. My beloved was upfront and honest with me, before we met, saying that they took a job abroad and that they would be traveling there and they would be back about 6 months, which turned out to be a year later, but it doesn't matter. I was warned in advance, and it was up to me to either take this or leave it. And I took it because I thought something in me just basically made me do it. And I would say that was divine intervention because I went against all of my logic. Logically, I was like, oh no, this is going to end in tears if you end up really liking this person. But I felt compelled to at least make contact, to meet up and to see where this could lead. And this is also where I feel you should really trust in divine intervention, is because if something is meant to be, then it's going to happen. The divine will step in and either override your logic or something that will make you, compel you to do what it is you were meant to do. And so I have faith that that will happen again. And so this first card says, release the dark wound. Let love live. And that means that in order for us to prepare and to be ready, fully ready, because there's the difference between saying I'm ready but knowing deep down that you still hold either some sort of resentment or resistance, and being so ready that you don't even care whether this happens or not, but are still in high spirits. You need to get yourself to option 2 and not option 1, the option where you still feel insecure. So we need to release everything associated with our journey that has brought us pain, whether that's abandonment issues, whether that's hurt triggered by circumstances. That's why I have gone over old conversations where for the longest time I wouldn't even read that because I felt, oh my God, if I read this, it's going to trigger the pain again. It's going to trigger me feeling bad again. But no, I need to face it and I need to read it so I get myself to the point where it no longer bothers me. And I need to be able to feel gratitude, not force myself, but to feel genuine gratitude for that event having take place. Because if I look deeper than what the surface problem actually was, the surface problem was, they said they couldn't keep their promise of being back within a certain time frame, therefore they feel that they couldn't let me down and move on and give me the space to at least find someone who was going to be there for me. But if you look beyond that, it actually opened up the doorway to me and them as well, in turn, realizing the full extent and the depth of this connection. Had that separation or initial event that triggered the separation never taken place, then we would have never discovered what we truly mean to each other and how much that really impacted our connection. And again, I need to uncreate the label of separation, because that's an illusion. There is no separation. There is only an event that took place, a trigger. And actually, rather than seeing it as a negative event, oh, that event caused us to separate. No, that event caused us to recognize the depth of each other, what we truly mean to each other, and that is something to be grateful for. So I'm hoping that using myself as an example, because as a general reading, it's really hard for me to really be specific. So as using myself as an example, I'm hoping that this is helping you. But I can certainly do this for you too. I can, look into your energies and give you very specific details of how they're feeling spiritually as well as physically. And this will give you more clarity, but I'm just using myself as an example here. And the next point I want to make is free from judgment, free to love. And what I want to say with this is we must release any judgment towards our beloveds. We must also release any labels. So that's why I feel it's so important to not label things. As the runner-chaser thing, I just don't like that. It doesn't sit well with me. Because labeling someone as a runner, what do? You speak into existence. And so if you label someone like that, then you are condemning them to running because that's how you see them. Essentially you speak into existence and have it reflect back onto you what you believe. And words are so powerful. So if you're constantly saying things like, my beloved doesn't even know I exist, or they're ignoring me, or they never think of me, see what that's doing? That's really creating a massive void and making you believe it to the point where that's being reflected in your existence. So take away this judgment, this labeling, and actually speak the things that you want to see reflected back to you. And until you see it in your reality, you may have to close your eyes for a bit. I know that I've had to do that for my financial situation and even my living situation for a while. I had to physically shut off to the world around me so that I could feel with my heart what I wanted to create. And eventually that started to actually come to fruition in my reality, in my existence. And also judgment is so harsh, Try to turn things around and ask yourself, how would you feel if your beloved judged you? If they said things about you that you don't agree with? You labeling them as being aloof or ignorant or careless, inconsiderate. What if they labeled you as clingy, crazy, obsessed? You don't want that. So don't do unto them what you don't want done unto yourself. And really withhold that judgment, release that judgment. It's not going to be easy because I know that I used to be very critical when I was younger. Rather than feeling happy and grateful that people could have certain opportunities, I felt really quite resentful. This is me when I was probably, 18, 19, that age when I certainly wasn't wise at all, and felt like in order for me to receive something, I must judge and be critical of others rather than being happy for them and actually being grateful so that could be showing up in my life too. And it's a hard lesson to learn, when you're young. You are naturally quite competitive and jealous, and that's something that must be released. And so this judgment towards our beloveds as well need to be released, so that we no longer hold that condemning energy over them, and they actually become the person that we know they are. So speak into existence to wonderful things. And this is not to be delusional, be realistic. If you are, unfortunately, in a dynamic that is abusive, don't say, oh, they're wonderful if they're not, of course. Also use your logic, use your wits to distinguish. But I'm just talking about people who are truly in a divine love dynamic, to speak into existence the wonderful qualities. I could, rather than me saying, oh, my beloved is not very good at communicating, because whenever it comes to communicating their feelings, they tend to shut off and make a joke about it. No, I could actually turn that around, because at the end of the day, they are a good communicator, because before they felt the need to put on this facade of being brave and being much more courageous than they actually are in reality, they were a good communicator. I remember after our first date, they were the one to initiate a text message saying thank you for the wonderful evening that we had, and that warmed my heart so much, because other guys never did that. And surely not 20 minutes after us saying our goodbyes. I mean, that was so wonderful, and I must remind myself of that. That shows the true strengths and characteristics of a good communicator. And so we must withhold our negative judgments and turn it around into what truly is there. The next card I want to talk about is power of attraction. So that goes hand in hand with the previous thing, is you will attract back what you give out. So if you're critical and judgmental, you will be met with that same energy. And I feel it's important to release, to let go of control issues. It's like, if you see your beloved as, see them as a child, and I know it sounds a bit weird, but bear with me. See it in the dynamic of a loving parent. So you're the loving parent, but you love your child so much that you don't want to release them, because you feel that they're going to make mistakes, it's going to be really painful, or they may fall in with the wrong crowd, or any amount of things could possibly happen that would put them in danger. But if you do that, you become an overbearing parent. And your child is going to think, oh my God, I can't wait to get away from this. This is awful. I feel imprisoned. And so when it comes to them wanting to visit you, they are not going to do that with gladness and happiness. They're going to really, really not look forward to visiting you. And if they were given the option, they wouldn't even come to see you. So they wouldn't be doing it out of their own free will, because you repel them through being overbearing. And so you have to mirror what you want to see. You have to give them the freedom so that they can come back out of love and not out of feeling pressured or obligated. It's hard, because when you're not getting consistent communication or seeing them often, you do become a bit clingy at times when you are feeling very hurt and lonely and at points quite desperate. Why can't you talk to me? Please talk to me. But being pressured like that is not good. So you must allow them the freedom so that they feel the strength coming from you. And so they can come to see you out of their own accord, so that you attract them into your energy because you have a beautiful energy and they want to be part of that, rather than you suffocate them and they just want nothing to do with that because they can't breathe. Next point I want to talk about is not focusing. Hold on a moment. Faith in the process. As I said at the beginning of this, you must have faith that the divine will step in, that you are on a divine mission, and that what is meant for you cannot pass you by. You must have faith in the process. You must have faith that things will happen in due course, that union is imminent, but that you must be open and not resistant to it, that you must let go of control and of judgment and needing things to happen a certain way. You are not the puppet master. You wouldn't want them to try to manipulate. Why can't I speak? You wouldn't want them to try to manipulate and control you either. So you can't do that to them, and you must have faith in the process. Just like I went against all of my natural instincts and logic of, oh God, this situation is bound to end in tears. I still went ahead with it because I felt drawn, because the divine showed me this path, and I was like, okay, I feel in my heart that I have to do it. Trust that that will happen with everything that is meant to happen. Trust in the divine, as they will not let you down. You haven't come here to fail, and you have not come here to be put on this wonderful divine path to then be kicked off and, oh, well, it was for nothing. No. So please trust that the divine steps in and makes things happen in the most miraculous of ways. I think this is my last card. Yeah. And this is receiving. So in order to receive, you have to put yourself in a place of knowing. Not a place of wanting to control or manipulate things, but just in place of knowing. And a knowing so confident that no matter what things look like, it's not going to bother you. You must put yourself in such a confident place that you actually think, do you know what? Whether this happens or not, I am not actually bothered. But not in a bad way, you know. You have to put yourself in that kind of place where it doesn't matter that much to you, but you're not resistant or angry or resentful towards it. So just a peaceful knowing. I mean, there are other things that you instinctively just know are going to happen for you, so you have to do this, apply it to this situation as well. Just put yourself in a place of receiving, of waking up every morning thinking, what wonderful surprises await me today. And just leave it up to fate to step in, up to the divine to intervene when they feel like, okay, well, this has gone on long enough, you know, this needs to start now. I do feel that the divine is keeping an eye and keeping their finger close to the button. I think it was Nikki who said this too, Divine Love Crystal Grid, where they can't be messing around for too long, you know. Sometimes you do need to rein in and actually go, come on now. And trust that the divine is there, keeping an eye on your situation, and they're going to make things happen as and when it's necessary. So there's nothing for you to worry about. You are in that space of knowing that things will just unfold the way they should. And so that you're not resentful, just put yourself in a place of gratitude, of receiving more goodness, and be grateful for everything that's happened, and turn everything around to be something to be grateful for. Thank you for that time that I was told that we had to go our own separate ways, because that triggered us both to realize how much we truly meant to each other. Thank you for, you can think of all sorts of things that may initially look negative, but ultimately serve you to bring out the best in your situation. And even though the time we had was quite short, I could still be thankful for that. Thank you for giving me at least that. So compared to other people, they had even less. So I'm grateful for the fact that we did have the opportunity to actually be together physically. Some people haven't even had that, but I've had a taste for what it's like to be perfectly matching with someone in the physical sense. Not to get too graphic on here, but some people haven't even had that opportunity, and I have. And even though it was short-lived, it was more than enough for me, than for what I needed to be able to say, yes, this is perfect for me. I've got something to look forward to now. So turn things around. Turn things around so that you become grateful, and through gratitude you become receptive and not resentful. That's the main thing, is we need to get rid of this. If there's any resentment whatsoever, any judgment whatsoever, oh, why aren't they doing this? Oh, why can't they just do that? No, that's being judgmental, and that's being resentful. Get rid of it. Put yourself into a place of receptiveness, of openness, not needing to puppeteer things. The best rituals for things to happen and unfold in your life is the ones that you don't even attach any expectations, such as, oh, I want things to happen in this way and this way only, and I'm not willing to budge. That's going to restrict you. But just imagine the endless possibilities. Don't you want to be surprised? Don't you want to be reunited in the most magical of ways? I know I do. Let's all try. Not just try, let's all just do this. Just put ourselves into a space of receptivity. And release all the things that need releasing, so that we're ready and able to receive. I hope that this has been helpful to you, and I know things are tricky, especially during this full moon season. It's been, whoa, it's been heavy, but I felt that these messages were really important to talk about, and I'm hoping that you found it useful and can apply these to your situation. And no matter how bleak or how desperate things may seem, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel if you simply allow the divine to show it to you. And try not to tell them, oh, I can only see it in this way. Because you're limiting yourself, and we don't want to do that. Thank you all so much for listening to me. If you want to connect with me, then my link is in the description. I've got some new promotions up for March. And yeah, have a beautiful day. May all of your wishes come true. Thank you. Namaste.